Hey everyone, and welcome back. So we just had another trailer drop for the TMNT Shredder's Revenge DLC. And I think we just might have had the final information till we actually get to play the DLC itself, called Dimension Shell Shock. Now in the trailer, we get a new character reveal, and we also finally get a release date. But not only that, if we look at the press release information, we're even looking at the price for the DLC. So now we're going to jump into all of that in today's video. Just remember, if you are liking the content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and let's hit that 20k subscriber mark. Now, first of all, let's start with the biggest information probably that the trailer is delivering, and that is the second DLC character that will be included, which is basically Karai. Now, to be totally honest, I primarily knew this character from the 2003 series. However, looking back through her history, she's appeared in the comic books and a lot of other versions of the media. And her exact background story does change a little bit depending on which exact version of the media you're looking at. Now, sometimes she is related to Shredder, other times she isn't, but one thing that is always common is that she's either the leader or a very high-ranked member of the Foot Clan. She also generally has a somewhat conflicted relationship with the Turtles, sometimes being their enemy, sometimes being their ally, and also even sometimes being the love interest of Leonardo. But anyway, the point of today's video isn't necessarily to do a history of who Karai is, but rather what I think of her inclusion in the DLC. And you know what? She's a character that wasn't even on my radar in any way. And although personally, I really prefer the mutated characters, you know what? As another human character to be included, it's actually a pretty interesting choice. First of all, it brings somewhat of a balance back between the mutant and non-mutant characters, and secondly, by what we can see in the trailer, she seems to have a pretty interesting fighting style that seems very different from the other ones we've seen so far. So although it's maybe not the first character that I would have chosen, you know what? It's not a bad choice either overall. Now, the second thing I want to talk about that we see in the trailer finally is that we get a few more images of different dimensions that you'll be visiting in the new content. And one of them is actually one that I talked about when we looked at the previous trailer. And yes, we are visiting a universe that seems inspired by the black and white comic versions of the Turtles. And visually, that was my #1 ask. And I am so glad that they're doing it, so I'm even more excited to dive into the new survival mode and see these new dimensions. But that's not all that we get from this trailer. We finally get a release date. And you know what? It's actually not too far away. The DLC will be available on August 31st. So in just about 15 days, we'll get to try the new modes and play with the new characters. I just can't wait. Now, a last bit of information that we get but isn't actually included in the trailer, and I pointed to it earlier, it's rather in the press release for this trailer, is the fact that we're finally getting a pricing on the DLC. Now, I did see some other outlets getting confused in some of the information that was released, but the DLC should be $7.99 in the US and regional equivalents. Now, what I think is getting some people confused is that they have a second update planned. That one will be free, and it'll be to add in some extra colors for the characters. But the DLC pack itself will not be free. You'll have to pay for it, unfortunately. But at the same time, for what they're including here, $7.99 does feel like a somewhat fair price. Obviously, I'd rather it be free, but $7.99 isn't overpriced for what they're offering. Now, today's video won't be much longer than this because I think we've gathered everything we can gather from this trailer. So now I'd love to hear from all of you. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this latest trailer, and are you going to be picking up the DLC when it finally drops? And don't forget, on the way out, to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and click on that notification bell so you know when all my future content comes out. And as usual, hope I'll see you in my next video.